Have you ever wondered who you could be without fear? What kind of person could you become? Just imagine the impact that you can have on the world. Now, this is something I personally find interesting, being someone that absolutely loves to inspire people towards success. I love it when they have a vision and their eyes light up with passion. They are revived, they come alive, and only then do they thrive. So what is it about fear that has so much power? It can be the biggest drawback to us achieving our goals. Fear is the number one emotion that has the most amount of control over us. Would you agree? And interestingly enough, fear itself, it's something that takes a hold over us. So what is it we can do about it? See, interestingly, on the flip side, fear has a purpose. It has a use. Now, just cut that for a minute. Have you ever seen children and even adults jumping on settees because one person has mentioned that keyword, spider? And they haven't even seen this spider yet, but they're jumping around on these settees. And it's interesting, this is what fear does to us. Can you believe the audacity of fear to have us jumping on settees? I mean, can you believe it? Now, if you're like me, and you're someone that wants to take more control over your fear, raise your hand. Yeah. What if we could take more control over when we experience fear? Wouldn't that be great? See, I've learned to develop a unique relationship with fear. Growing up, fear was an emotion that was very familiar to me. That experience up close. Walking home from primary school, I would find drunken men huddled in groups, laughing loudly, racist National Front signs plastered on the walls behind them. I wondered, what would they do to me this time? Spit at me? Call me names? Or throw their bottles at my feet again, hoping to trip me up? These same men came to my home another day. And I remember looking out my bedroom window and seeing them punch my auntie in the face and knock her to the ground. My heart was racing. I'd lost all breath. Stay there, Mum shouted as she ran out there with a huge wooden walking stick, managing to wallop one of them around the neck. But unfortunately, it didn't end there. One day, as we were sitting there in the living room watching TV, bang! We dived to the ground. Glass shattered everywhere. Everything was in slow motion. And I remember the sound of the loud bang. My ears were just ringing with the echo. It was deafening. I remember just being on the floor, my eyes glued shut. I dared not open them. And I just lay there on the ground. I don't know how long for. Feeling the sharp glass under my palms. And when I eventually opened my eyes, the slow smoke lingering in the air began to fade. And our eyes met. And when they did, they were glazed with fear. No one said a word. And when we looked up, there were bullet holes everywhere. Now, these are the inspirational women in my life that have had a major influence over my journey. They provided me with hope, and I want to honor them here tonight. See, growing up, I've seen a lot of pain and suffering with people that I knew and people that I didn't. But either way, it bothered me deeply. So what would I do? I would go inward. It was safe there. I had a fantastic imagination. And I would fantasize and I'd romanticize things to make them even more interesting than they really were. See, I was busy saving the world in my mind. I was Superwoman. So there I was. I wanted people to feel better. So I imagined them better. So instead of thinking what was, I began to think about what could be. At 19, I became a proud young mum. And at the same time, a uni dropout. There he was, my bundle of joy. What if I can't cope? I thought, how would I survive? What if I struggle? These were the films of failure going round in my mind. But this soon changed the moment he looked at me with the biggest, brightest brown eyes and the widest gummy bear smile. I knew I would never let him down. He trusted me. And from that moment, he put a virtual rocket underneath me, and now I was more determined to succeed more than ever. He provided me the courage to go through various different hostels, various different temporary accommodation, moving around from place to place that we could find our own home. And that gave me the determination to plow myself right back into education. And I managed to do pretty well. I managed to get my degree in accounts in 2012. And from that time, I was in my first year of work. And I'd have these powerful visions at work at my desk where I was seeing people come alive. They were thriving, and it was so exciting. And I would sit there and think to myself, wow, I could add so much value here. And it seemed so much more exciting from the environment that I felt I was in. I mean, you could hear a pin drop in the accounts office. So I thought, why am I living someone else's dream when I can live my own? I soon found out I was living my mother's dream. Sorry, Mum. And from that time, the fear, I was more afraid of what I would miss out on if I didn't explore this further. So I decided to do what most people would have deemed as crazy at that particular time. I decided to quit my job in the midst of the recession in order to inspire people to live out their visions. Why? Because I believe in people. Why weren't they achieving what I knew they were capable of and what they knew they were capable of? So I started writing courses. I wanted to inspire the world. I wanted to reach the masses. I started writing inspirational courses. And after I started doing this, and I piloted it into the community, I had full courses, and it was working. Everyone was achieving success. But after a full year of offering these courses for free, I ended up broke. And from that time, I knew I had to deliver this in different places. So I offered it to schools, colleges, universities, and then someone said, prisons, ding, ding. I was met with a challenge. I thought, can this really work for anybody? So I thought, let me find out. So I approached my first prison in 2012. And from that time, I realized everyone can achieve success. I'd proved it right. So from that time, fear can keep us imprisoned in our own mind. Whether we're confined or not. See, when fear takes over, we stop thinking, we act. In fact, we react. Those that I've worked with have made some real mistakes, some more serious than others. I remember, I'll take you back to a time a couple of years ago, when I was working with someone in prison. He was a young boy, and he'd committed murder at the age of 14. 14 years old. He was being chased by a rival gang, and he was cornered. In fear of his own life, he pulled out a knife, and he managed to stab that teenager in the chest, fatally killing him. He got life, and after 14 years, a 24 on parole, a 28-year-old young man stood before me in fear of release. He got caught up in the lifestyle. He got caught up in the lifestyle, fast cars, fast money, and he wanted to make a name for himself. I remember him breaking down. He said to me, I just wanted to be liked. And he thought the only way to do that was to make a name for himself. In his words, he wanted to be the baddest of the baddest. And when he worked his way up, as he calls it, all the way to the top of the ladder, he realized there was absolutely nothing there but guilt. So now he's a very different person to the person that he used to be. And his fears are very, very much different to what they once were. Now his fears, instead of them being about constant paranoia, looking over his shoulder, looking out for rival gang members and the police, now his fears look something like this. He doesn't know what society views him as. Will he be accepted? How will he use a smartphone? He's never had a relationship. How does he have one of those? See, now he has a whole new vision, and he helps other organizations, and he stands up and he shares his story at different kinds of events to help people, young people in particular, put down the knife. So he cannot bring the life that he took back, but what he can do is help others from losing theirs. So does he deserve another chance? And should life really mean life? What if he could channel that potential into positive change? Just imagine where he would get to. Just imagine the difference that he can create in his life and in the lives of others. Now, for me, it all started with a vision. Once you have a compelling vision, one that's so powerful, fear just tends to disappear. I'm going to show you how that works. So what I'm going to do is ask you to relax in your chairs. Take this moment. Forget who's around. If you want to create a compelling vision that's going to get you and pull you through your visions, why not try this? Relax in your chairs, and I want you to just forget who's around. Imagine yourself achieving success. This is what you've been waiting for. You're seeing yourself at your very best. Look at how you're sparkling. As you're doing what you love to do, just take a moment to capture the image. Is it a busy, colourful, loud environment? Or is it more of a subtle, quiet, subdued environment? As you're doing what you love to do, just look at the positive impact that you're having on the people around you. And notice the way it makes you feel. As you're doing what you love to do. Now make that image even brighter, even bigger. So you're seeing yourself HD. Make it vivid, make the colors pop, make it panoramic, make it surround you. Seeing yourself at your very best. Just take a moment to enjoy that. Okay? And when you're ready, come back to us. Open your eyes. Now, I'm out of interest. Now, usually, most people are able to capture some kind of visual image. Be brave. How many of you actually did? Okay, great. See, having a compelling vision is what helped me pull me through every single painful experience, every single time. Are our visions powerful enough? Now, we are taught what to think, but not necessarily how to think. And that will determine the different results that we get. So for instance, back to the spider. Do you remember the spider with the children, the adults jumping onto tees, and they haven't even seen the spider as yet, but they're in fear? What are they in fear of? And what does it tell us about fear? It tells us that fear is internal. It's because of the images that we are creating in our minds. You are in fear of the scary images that you are creating in your mind. So you have a cinema in your own mind, and it's up to you what you choose to project onto yours. You're in the control room. Let me ask a question. If your life were a film, do you think it'd be one worth watching? So the question is, if you're in the control room, what film would you like to watch? So instead of us playing bad memories of ourselves on loop, round and round again, horror films I like to call them, why not press pause, eject, and just put in a different film, one that's just more empowering, more inspiring? Why not, instead of asking the questions, how bad is this going to be? Why not ask, how good can this possibly get? A whole different question. So you are in control of your fear. It's either we take control or we be controlled. Everyone has fear, be it prisoners, be it those with mental health issues, be it our young people carrying weapons and knives. And if they can achieve their visions and overcome their fears, I believe everyone can. So now that you have a vision, a compelling one, and you haven't got the fear there, I wonder, what is it you'll do differently? How will you choose to create better visions for yourself? And what impact would that have on the world? Thank you.